Welcome back to another Makeup Monday video. This one's going to be all about foundations. My favorite foundations and those that I've repurchased many times and the ones that I'm currently using. I'm Jennifer Mata-McMahon. Welcome. Let's get into it. So the first foundation I'm going to share with you is one that I used to use. I don't use it anymore, but I still have it. And I eventually want to use it up. And it's a cream to powder foundation, and it's from CoverGirl. And it comes in this different packaging than the sort of the regular foundation. It looks more like a compact, like a powder compact. But it's a creamy finish that once applied to the face, it turns into this powdery texture, and it comes with a little puff that, as you can see, I have used. This was the only foundation that I used for many years. It has a really light coverage, so it doesn't really cover imperfections, and it doesn't really last all day either. It's which is why I stopped using it. I found others that are much better. I use the shade 420 Creamy Natural for reference, if you need a reference for it. It's good, but it's really lightweight, and again, it doesn't really last all day. But it's the oldest foundation that I have in my bunch in terms of the longest time of using it. The other foundation that I have is also from CoverGirl, and this one I've repurchased a couple of times. I also use the shade Creamy Natural, but this one's in 820, and it is the Outlast Stay Fabulous 3-in-1 foundation, because it claims to be a foundation, a concealer, and you're supposed to not necessarily need primer to use this too. So it's a primer, a foundation, and a concealer all together because it has a really good coverage. And it's long lasting, and it controls oil as well because it's the mattifying version. I believe there is a luminous version of this foundation, but I use the mattifying one because my skin, especially around my nose area, tends to get oily. So I'd rather it be mattifying and then sort of highlight with other things. And not have all my face be highlighted with a moisturizing kind of foundation. Although I do have some of those as well that I like. The other foundation that I have, and I'm showing you all the drugstore versions first, and then we'll get into the high-end foundations that I currently have, use, and love, is from L'Oreal. And this one is the Infallible Pro Matte 24-Hour foundation. It's supposed to be a demi-matte finish, so not as mattifying that your face looks like cardboard, but mattifying enough that it doesn't get shiny throughout the day. And this is really great for oily skin. Again, my skin is combination, so I have normal to oily skin in my nose area only, so that's the only area of my face that is oily. The rest of my face is very normal. And in fact, when I'm using clarifying lotions to control acne or control pimples or blemishes or whatnot, then I even have dry patches on my face. So it's very combination kind of skin what I'm dealing with. And so I don't use this as often. I've had this one for a long time now. I would say over a year, and I use it sparingly, but when I do use it, I really like the finish that it gives my skin and the longevity of it. It really is long lasting and mattifying. So that one's another one that I use. Not so frequently, but I do use it. Another one from the drugstore is the Ordinary foundation, and I have two of them in two formulas. One is a lightweight serum kind of foundation, and you can hear it. It's very liquidy. You shake it up. It's very liquidy. I have the color 2.0N, which is light medium. I tend to go for light medium in terms of my skin tone in the foundations that I use. If there's a light medium powder or concealer or foundation, or tends to be sort of my shade. So I have this one from the Ordinary, which is the serum one, and I also have the covering or coverage foundation from the Ordinary. And this one, you can shake it, but it's thicker. It's quite thicker than the serum one. And I've tried both of them. I like both of them. They both give good coverage. The covering foundation obviously gives a better coverage than the serum one, but they both are long wearing. They give good coverage. They feel nice on the skin. They don't cake up. They don't disappear from my skin, and I really like them. The last bunch of foundations that I have from the drugstore are e.l.f. foundations, and I have 3 of them. One is the e.l.f. Moisturizing Foundation Stick, and I have the shade Natural, and it's one of those, you know, sort of twist up stick foundations. I really like this one, but it's moisturizing, so meaning that it can tend to get oily in my oily areas. But I really like it for winter, because in the winter time it covers, it's long lasting, and it gives that moisture that my skin might need if, you know, the cold is sort of sucking up all the moisture out of my skin. This will be really good for that. Another one that I have from e.l.f. that I like is the, what is this one called? This is oil-free. It has SPF 15, and it is, I think it's, I don't know. I'll look it up and put the name on the screen for you. I have 2 shades because initially I bought porcelain, and I'll tell you why I bought porcelain first. And it was a little bit too light for me. And then I realized that the next shade up, I think I saw Emily Noel talk about this foundation, and I tend to look good in the shade that she uses. So her shade, what I'm trying to say is her foundation shade tends to be good for me as well. So she said she used sand, and I bought sand, and it fit like a glove in terms of my skin tone. So you can see that porcelain is quite full, and sand has been used. So, right. So I like this one. This one's long lasting. It covers. It has sunscreen SPF 15. So I like all of those things. Because it has SPF, it's a little more oily than the other mattifying foundations that I've showed you before. The third e.l.f. foundation that I have and love is this one. And the reason why I bought porcelain in the previous foundation is because my color in this foundation is porcelain, and I've been using it, as you can see. I've used this to death, and I kind of store it this way so I can use it up until the last little bit. I've already repurchased it, but I have noticed that it is a little bit like a hair too light for me. So what I did was, when I was in e.l.f. last month, when I was in New York, I bought another porcelain. So I did the replacement of this one that's on its last leg. So I bought another porcelain, but I also bought the next color up, which is buff. In the packaging, they look pretty much the same. I don't know how they're going to look in real life. I haven't tried them yet in terms of shades, in terms of consistency and formula. I've used this one almost to its death. So I love this foundation. It's mattifying. This one has, I haven't told you what it is yet, have I? It is the salicylic acid foundation. It's acne prone skin foundation, and it has salicylic acid, and I love it because it's mattifying, it's long lasting, it conceals, so it's covered, it has coverage, but it also has salicylic acid. So if I have breakouts, or if my skin is acting up, this is a good foundation to go to. So those are all my lower end or drugstore foundations that are, the price point is low. All of these foundations are less than $10, or like the most expensive one, maybe the L'Oreal, is around $10. Everything else is $6, $8, $5, you know, like it's very, very affordable. The other foundations that I'm going to share with you are not that affordable. So these are the higher end foundations. So the first one is Dior Skin. This is Air Flash spray foundation, and it's a spray. It's very different. You don't necessarily spray it on your face. What I do is I spray it on my brush and then apply the brush all over my face. I love this foundation. I have it in the color 300, but I think I need to get the 200 because the color 300 is a little bit on the dark side. So when I'm tan in the summer, it's good, but in the winter time, it's a little too dark for me. But this foundation gives you this airbrushed kind of finish to the face. You look like you have porcelain skin. So that's why I really like it. And you have to like shake it up like just like a spray can, a spray paint can. You do it in the same way. But again, you spray it onto your brush and then you apply it all over your face. And love this, but it's $62, so not affordable by any means. The other foundation that I have that I've used a ton is the IT Cosmetics CC Cream. This one has SPF 50 in it. And again, because it has SPF, it tends to be a little bit more oily on the skin. So I don't love it for summer, but I do have a summer shade, which is the one that I purchased initially, medium, that it's almost gone. And then this one that I purchased for winter, which I have, as you can see, I've used it a lot, is the light shade. And really good. It doesn't have as good as coverage as the other foundations that I mentioned. It really doesn't cover. You can still see freckles, you can still see spots, you can still see redness. I don't know. So for some people, they say, oh, it's really full coverage. For me, it's not as full coverage, but I can then conceal and can put other things on top of it, and the skin looks really good, really natural, fresh. It doesn't look cakey at all, but it is a little bit oily. So if you're on the oily side, you might not love it. I like it because, again, my skin is combination, and sometimes, especially in the winter, I need that extra moisturizing effect for my skin to even it out. The last foundation I want to share with you is another high-end foundation. It's the most recent one that I've purchased, and it's the Too Faced Peach Perfect Comfort Matte Foundation. I use the shade Warm Nude. I feel like this shade is a smidge dark for me. I actually looked at Emily Noel's video to see where she uses foundation and says which shade she uses, to see what is good for her, and she used, I think, Natural Beige is what she uses. And I thought maybe I should go and return it in exchange for that. But I feel like it's working for me. This is the foundation I have on today, and I feel like it's still working for me. It's a little bit darker than my neck and my chest area, but it's about the same color as my shoulders and my arms. So whatever has been a little bit tanned, a little bit exposed to the sun, this seems to match it. So I don't know, I feel like I'm going to keep this color and use it through summer, and because it's mattifying and it doesn't help my face get oily or extra moisturized, I can use it for summer, and it really lasts all day. It has really good coverage, and if you can find your perfect shade, I highly recommend this foundation for summer. It's really nice. It says it's oil free, it has 14-hour wear, it's oil controlling, and it's photo friendly, and I would agree with all of those things. It's a really good sort of mattifying, but as the name says, it's a comfortable mattifying foundation. So yeah, that's it. Those are all the foundations that I have currently that I'm wearing. I have used other foundations in the past. I've used the Rimmel Stay Matte, I think it's 25-hour foundation. I really liked that foundation. I liked how it looks on my skin, but I couldn't find my correct shade. I gave it to my mom, who has a bit of a darker tone. I did buy the shade that Emily Noel recommended, but I think it doesn't look exactly good for me. Maybe it looks a little bit better on my skin now in the summer, because I feel like it was a little bit dark then. So yeah, I hoped you enjoyed it. Please share with me what foundations you use, and if you have combo skin like I do, what works for you, what looks nice on your skin. I would love to know that, and I will see you again soon. Bye.